My name is Dr. Jane Goldberg. Welcome to my show, Musings from 20th Street. I'm a psychoanalyst. I am also the owner of La Casa de Spa on East 20th Street. So we know that there are certain formulas that just work. We know if we eat less and exercise more, we'll be better fit. We psychoanalysts know that if our patients say, if we as analysts resolve our patients' resistances to being able to put all thoughts and feelings into words, that our patients become cured in the modern analytic definition of cure, which is the ability to put all of your thoughts and feelings into words. And I think I said in last week in the show that there was a formula for one of our group members to, and by the way, we're on our 34th session today of the Really Real Reality group therapy. So one of our group members mentioned that she had been mourning her mother's death, and I said, and she said, just, you know, somebody help me to not have to mourn my mother's death. And I said, oh, I know how to do that. And the formula for that is to just, when she's here, be present in this moment with what's happening in this room. And when you learn that skill and you carry it forth every minute of your life, then you're not mourning, you're just living in the moment. So there's also a formula for getting people to fall in love with you. I thought maybe people would be interested in knowing that formula. So the formula was discovered first with research on puppies. They had different litters of puppies, and some of the litters, the experimenters or the trainers gave a lot of attention to the puppies, and then some of the litters got no attention whatsoever. And some of the litters got what I'm going to call blow hot, blow cold. Sometimes they got attention, sometimes they didn't get attention. And the puppies that got the mixed attention developed a very intense dependent relationship with their trainers. They were loyal, they were devoted, they wanted to stay side by side with their trainer all the time, much more than even the group that didn't get any attention whatsoever. And we also saw this phenomenon in prisoners of war. The Koreans actually perfected it in the Korean War, that have, you know, good cop, bad cop, and you just you know, you're mean and you're critical and you're demanding, and you do all kinds of nasty things to the person in the war. They were, of course, using torture. And then you have somebody who comes in and he's like your savior. And you're so grateful for this little tidbit of good treatment that you develop a real attachment. What I'm calling falling in love or being in love, of course, it's kind of a laboratory-induced phenomenon. So there's a movie that is one of my favorite movies that also reflects the same phenomenon. It's Swept Away, which was originally made by Lena Wertmüller, and then Madonna remade it, but the Lena Wertmüller was a much better version. So this kind of rich bitch is on a yacht, and then something happens and they capsize, and so she's stuck on an island with this guy that, you know, 5 minutes earlier when they were lying on the boat happily, she considered him to be like a savage, you know, just a brute kind of primitive guy. But the two of them are on this island, and they're all alone, and it becomes clear really quickly that he knows how to survive and she doesn't. He knows how to catch fish and she doesn't. So by the end of the movie, she's totally in love with him. So the phenomenon is basically that you isolate the person from their ordinary surroundings, and then you induce fear in them, and then you humiliate them. And then, just at the moment when they're most disoriented, you swoop down and you become their savior. So whenever you want somebody to fall in love with you, all you have to do is blow hot, blow cold, and it's a surefire recipe. So that's what I wanted to say today, and how that's going to inform what happens in the group, I'm not sure, but let's see where the group goes.
Sounds like you're saying either be codependent or be a bitch. I mean, you know, and I've been codependent, so help me God, the umbilical cord is still attached to my mother wherever she is. But I mean, and everybody, there's this philosophy that you have to be a bitch to men because they treat you better. Because if you're nice, they'll just shit on you.
Well, I think that there's some irony in what I'm saying. Maybe being in love is really not such a state that we should seek it out and desire it as much as we do in this culture.
Sounds like a nightmare the way you describe it.
Well, we analysts tend to think of being in love as a psychotic state, actually.
Isn't it like a romantic thing? Because it's not real.
Well, I think what it is, actually, from a psychoanalytic point of view, is a regression back to the early relationship that you have with the mother, where you were fused and the ego boundaries are not as strong. And yes, there is a lot of, it's symbiotic at that stage.
Where does loving oneself, like really treasuring and enjoying one's own life energy and one's senses and one's intellect and all of oneself, where does that fit?
Well, I definitely recommend that.
But that's narcissistic. Narcissistic? Is it narcissistic? What was it called?
No.
Maybe yes, maybe
However,
no.
remember in a previous session we defined narcissism as self-hatred, not self-love?
Right.
Oh,
Remember the
so if you
fate of-
hate yourself, you're considered narcissistic. I can't say the damn
It's
word.
a self-involvement that blocks out other people.
Because I don't block other people. Like, some people have said I'm unlovable. I had a therapist who said that to
You
me.
absolutely block other people.
I don't block him.
You block other people by talking.
Oh, God. It's like, this is like a broken record.
Not only do you block other people, but you block yourself from yourself. You block feelings by talking.
I think I've spewed a lot of feelings here.
You
It
do.
does seem like that at least some of the time with you, Barbara, to me, that you block people some of the time, although I hear points where you seem to be ready to let people in, but not that much. I feel like you do go on a lot, regardless of whether I do or
I'm
not.
the only one who goes on.
I'm not arguing with that.
Walter.
I'm
Okay.
not arguing with that with you. I know I can go on myself.
Oh, yeah.
At times, and at times I somehow, from a selfish point of view, I have to say, realizing after years that if I keep going on and keep self-involved in conversations, that relationships are going to be very difficult for me. So I had the discipline to stop it, although I have to say that selfish, I guess, self-oriented child still goes on in me, because there's lots of times when I'm listening to people and I'm just chomping at the bit to give my piece, but
Last week-
give them some space. Let them talk. Let them talk now.
Last
What's going
week,
on
you
in
didn't
your
let
life with the
anybody
discipline
talk.
kind of thing.
You didn't let anybody talk last week. Molly
yeah, for some-
Molly had some really interesting points about you, and you came down on Molly because technically you come off like a child. You keep going on, and you don't talk
he's
about your
admitting to that,
feelings.
Barbara.
Yeah, but that wasn't the only thing
That's
that
what
went on.
he's
The
talking
early
about.
part of last week involved Carol, I think, in that story, which I was quiet, pretty much quiet like the rest of us, and did a lot of listening to. And there came a point where I decided, what was going on, I wanted attention for. And maybe I should have given a little more notice at that point to say, yes, I realize that this has been very good and very soothing to people in some way. I should have maybe given one more statement of recognition of that before I said, but I have things I need to talk about.
So let's see what
So I was
the
a bit
good.
pushy there.
let's see what the left side of the room wants to say.
I'm sort of, I don't even know what we're talking. Where are we going with this?
What do you mean,
Wherever
are
you
we
want to take
going?
us.
Where she was talking and then he was, I don't know where our topic is going.
Where do you want to go, John?
We were talking about love or something. Love is codependent, or it's a
Right.
delusion. And I was going to say, is it possible that the psychiatric world that believes that love is some kind of a delusion, are they more in a class with, like, say, somebody like Schopenhauer, where it's
Who is that?
where there's this thing where people separate from the world because it's damaged or whatever, and that the only true love is a kind of self-love, because you're going to be disappointed in relationships with war and all the problems of society.
Let me ask you a question. Did you have any feelings about anything that was happening with these three?
Yeah, but it turned into psychobabble, and I just couldn't follow.
Oh,
it.
that is so.
No, it didn't at all.
it didn't, honey.
Didn't at all.
No, it
Okay,
didn't. I don't
so-
talk psychobabble.
So you were irritated?
I thought,
Psychobabble suggests that you had a negative
horrible.
feeling.
yeah, like I thought, like, well, it's going into the realm of rhetoric, where there's no point to make everything is sort of being said. So it's like, then you asked us what to say, and I'm just sort of like, Well, it's
So
kind of
can we
rendicatory.
conclude that you were having negative feelings toward 1, 2, or 3 of these people?
At
Three?
the moment, yes.
I thought it was just me and Barbara, basically.
Well, I was
No,
sort of joining.
I don't know.
if he's
I don't
in
know
it.
yet.
Well, I
Can ask
had a negative feeling about you before the group because you had a horrible statement, and I don't know if you thought you were being funny, but we were talking about incest, and you said something about what the hell was it? It was like so ludicrous because Carol was disturbed by
About
it
the
too.
liberals?
No, about incest relationships. We brought up Mackenzie Phillips and
Yeah.
how she was forced to have, not forced, but she was
I
kind
don't
of
know if that's
convinced to have
true.
sex.
If that's just a lie.
Oh, so you think she made it up and then she
Yes.
created a memory?
Yes, because John Phillips was, as I understand, he was not a nice guy.
So why would you doubt what she's
I
saying
think
is
that
true?
she wrote that book because she had a lot of anger toward him, and she really wanted to give it.
So in other words, she just created her own reality.
I believe so.
So anybody who gets raped or has incest happen to them, basically they're just trying to get back at the other person because that's a bullshit statement.
I think it's more of
You're a man, and then it's
No,
man
I think what she's doing is sort of like a cautionary tale.
Oh, that's such
It's more of a
crap.
caution. I think it's disguised as that. I think it's.
But John, if you don't know
You don't
what
know.
happened, why
can
would
you
you say?
It happens all the time.
How can you have an opinion that it didn't?
Well, her family
More
came
true
out
than it
against
did.
what she was saying.
Because of the old families don't believe it. Oprah's family didn't believe she was being raped.
These people are millionaires. They're on
Oh,
television.
millionaires are not the only ones who get
They are
raped.
disseminated
But
through
things do
culture
happen
like
to
propaganda.
people.
Honey,
Okay, so-
that is such
They are,
bullshit.
they
So,
are
excuse me.
disseminated through the media.
You are-
So, can I run
She's
the
been
group,
having
or
sex. She's been
should I stop talking?
He's a crazy.
Or should I
Oh my
should I
God.
not run the group? Can I-
Machismo.
Do you think I might be able to get something in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think
Okay,
Jenny
you
wants to.
see,
address this.
my job here is to analyze the dynamics of the relationships in this room. So though we might talk about Michelle Phillips and we might have opinions, really what is most interesting to me, and I hope eventually to you guys, is what it is that happens emotionally amongst us. So it looked to me like what was happening is that there was a disagreement about opinion, and that there was a lot of agitation and negative feeling toward the person who was having the opposite interpretation of reality
Hell
that,
yeah.
that you were having. So that said, we might try to have it as a mission to talk about our feelings as well as our ideas.
I feel insulted as a woman because this is the kind of shit one hears all their lives in every country on the planet where women are being raped in war, and I hear a statement coming out of you, and you sound, and to me you sound like an idiot from out of the 50s, because rape cases were never prosecuted. Because if I decided to wear something down to here
Okay,
and a short
Barbara.
skirt,
Barbara, calling somebody an idiot is an accusation.
it's an
and-
idiotic statement to me, and dangerous.
You said he sounded like an idiot. So I
Yeah.
just want you to recognize that when you get angry, you call people names, and that you'd be better served if you would just stay with what you're feeling.
I'm just going to say.
Yes,
that-
I've heard that before too.
Well,
From
I'm,
you, name
well,
calling.
well, no, you scream it, okay?
Well, whatever it is, I'm
trying to-
just observing you.
Well,
you
I
you
don't-
made your observations
you-
of me
You're
before.
raising your voice again, so
Yeah, I
calm
know.
it down.
I know.
I'm
Well,
just,
one has to raise their voice to get you to stop talking.
no, not to the point where he gets violent, because if Kay were
No,
here, she would disagree with me.
Barbara,
Violent?
I'm
Did I hear?
refraining often
Right.
from raising my voice to speak over you so that I can get you to listen to me.
Well, I'm trying to say, I mean, I feel very uncomfortable being in a group with somebody who's violent and somebody who has this naive attitude about women, and it's not a reality.
No, you're
I
not.
didn't say
It's
anything
not
about
true.
women.
No,
I
you
said
did-
Mackenzie Phillips.
No,
we're talking
we were
specifically about
talking-
one person.
No.
Barbara,
But you're
Barbara,
using
it
it
is
as an
not
excuse for
true
the whole world.
that you are uncomfortable being in the room with someone that feels a certain way.
Yes, I am
you are. No,
uncomfortable.
you are not uncomfortable. It is really clear you're entirely comfortable with how you feel, and how you feel is that you're angry. And I want you to know
Yeah, I am
you're very
angry.
comfortable with your anger. So. Let's just call a spade a spade. Okay, I still haven't heard from Paul, and I haven't heard from Molly at all.
Well,
He travels 2 hours each way to get here.
I do too.
3
So
hours.
do I, so
3
do
hours
we.
each way to get here.
I'm a little reticent because I wasn't here last time, but
Well, if you follow my edict, that the only thing that matters is being here now.
okay, but
doesn't matter
but
that you weren't here.
even in business meetings, they say, well, what's old business and new business? But What I think would be helpful, because I do think, Jane, you follow the psychoanalytic model, and I'm not sure where the tenets of that are enumerated, but yeah, I know about the here and now. But I have felt from the very beginning it would have been helpful to hear from everybody in terms of what they think they hope to get out of the group. Because if we knew what Barbara or Walter or John or Molly or my, Carol, anybody wanted to get out of the group, we could work together to help that person get to where they want to go. Wouldn't that be
That's the
helpful?
first episode, Paul. Where are you going?
Yeah, but we haven't gone beyond that.
Yes, we
No,
have.
I
Where
thought-
have you been?
I've been here at
What
least
show
10
do you
times.
watch?
Listen, what tends to happen is that Jane makes her introduction, and 9 out of
I
10
know what
times
goes
you
on.
jump in. So the process never unfolds.
And you give your resume, and you keep repeating yourself
Only afterwards.
all the time.
Jane asked to hear from this side of the room.
Everybody here has talked about their
Okay.
issues, Paul.
No, I'm
in
not
graphic
talking.
detail.
I'm not asking to talk about the issues. For example, what do you hope to get out of this
We've
group?
talked about
No,
that.
I haven't heard
Paul,
it.
we
have
touched on that.
talked
No,
about it all the
D, I haven't heard a
time.
ding-dong thing from
Dude,
you
you
about
bring
that.
that up every
every
damn
goddamn
time.
And
week.
there's no response.
Every
All I know about you, D, is that you were in a 7-year relationship and it ended.
Well, that's all you keep thinking about.
No, that's all you've said.
Are you interested in
What
it
do you hope to
sexually?
get?
Because that's what you're
What do
talking
you
about.
hope
is
to
one
get out of the
thing.
group? That's what I'm asking.
He already
Progression
said.
in my life, like everybody else, I guess.
Progression is vague. In what way?
Are you nebulous?
Dude,
Let me say that I do always in a first session ask a new patient what it is that they hope to achieve
We've been saying
from
this.
being in therapy.
I
And-
missed the first
no,
session.
I'm just telling you
Yeah.
how I
First
conduct my
Right.
private practice.
Right.
So, and what I find is that by the time we get to the middle of the analysis or the end of the analysis, that in fact, what the person came into analysis thinking they wanted to accomplish is almost diametrically opposed to what it is that they have accomplished. So it's not an unuseful question. I appreciate the value of the question,
Yeah.
but it also is not a completely useful question. And Molly, I do need to hear from you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say I think it's worth something to revisit just by asking the question
Right.
without
Jump
necessarily
in.
a long time spent on it.
Are you agreeing?
Jump in, Molly.
Well, as
Please.
far as
I
what
think we
said.
need to clarify
Can
each
Molly
time
talk?
where we're going.
Can we have Molly talk? Because we've already discussed this. I feel like.
Okay,
we're
so
just,
Barbara,
running
if you
around.
were
Didn't-
cooperating
I was
with
saying didn't need a discussion. I
Walter?
said just a brief mention.
Walter,
No, we don't. We don't have to hear
can
this.
I talk? If you were cooperating with the process of putting your thoughts and feelings into words, what that communication would have sounded like is, Paul, I feel like controlling you right now. My opinion is that you're doing something that is wrong, and I would like to
don't wanna
have enough.
control him.
You absolutely want to control him. You try to control him. I'm only suggesting that instead of trying to control him, you put the impulse of wanting to control him into words. And it is now time to hear from Molly.
Oh, I just said that.
Okay, well, I'll admit
And the
that-
reason why is because I am the controlling dictator, so I get to determine what happens in the room. I will freely own that. Molly, hi.
Hi, well, I'll admit that I want to control Paul, and I get very frustrated when I feel like all he wants to do is talk about everybody else and not about himself. And,
I have shared myself in great detail.
Yeah, he certainly is.
well, but you share, like, facts, but not
Yeah.
feelings.
Oh, and what would you like to know?
Well, like, how do you feel about what I just said?
I feel that you're very good at intellectualizing things
Oh my God.
as thoughts, but I don't think you're being accurate.
You do
Maybe you
you
haven't.
just
do the same.
You just
What do you
intellectualize.
feel?
What do
Know
you
that.
feel?
Know that. What you're feeling now. The emotion
Paul,
that you
you're
have.
intellectualizing
Paul.
all the time. You never talk about your feelings, ever.
Really?
No, you
Well,
don't.
can you empathize with what I've
Did you
said?
hear how you ignored
what
me?
my feelings?
I'm trying-
I asked a very valuable question, just very simply. I asked, what's your emotion now?
You talking
She
to
just
me?
asked him the same thing.
Well,
Well,
I'm
Walter,
just
you
trying to get
talking
him
to me?
focused.
Listen, I have to say, do you all remember, like 4 months ago, I came in and said I had a dream and I was enraged with the whole group? Remember that?
Are you having a nightmare?
No, I think this is my my dream come true, my nightmare come true.
What's that?
It is true. I want everybody to know when they're angry. I want everybody to focus on the aggressive drive that I've talked about a lot. But I don't want y'all to be killing each other. And that it seems like you're wild animals. Everybody is just clawing at everybody. And we've got to have some tempering of positive feeling toward each other. I mean, this group it's a mess.
Yeah, but there's certain
Does it feel
people
like a
that
mess
just
to
don't
you?
get along.
Complete mess.
I do feel like people are quick to criticize each other, and nobody really is willing to support each other to a positive end.
Not everybody, though. You can't.
I think nobody's even willing to listen to anybody.
I talked about that around the 7th, 8th session.
And it's still true, Paul.
You're right. But what I think happens, and I want to ask you in terms of psychoanalytic theory, because you seem to follow it, when you do your introduction and then Barbara speaks 9 out of 10 times, how is the process going to be any different if it's the same old repetitive pattern? And I'm wondering whether, and I'm just asking you as a psychoanalytic theorist, whether you, as a therapist, look forward to drawing out aggression as a useful modality of communication. Because you talked about the Freudian Thanatos and Eros instinct in the early sessions.
So what about Molly's idea that you always want to have theoretical discussions as opposed to talking about feelings?
Well, first of all, let me point out something. I think that if you go to the tapes, you will see that I have, one of my skills, I think, as a person, is empathy for everybody. And I
agree
dealt
with that.
with everybody. Carol, empathy for her family. Even Barbara, I sat next to her when
Well,
she
when you asked me, and it feels more like a challenge actually than a question about my psychoanalytic theory, that does not feel like that comes from your empathic place. That feels more...
No, it comes from a theoretical perspective that, as you said, the psychoanalytic therapist has this notion of Eros Thanatos behavior.
I'm telling you, it feels to me like a challenge, because you always contradistinct yourself from psychoanalytic theory.
That's
You're not
true.
It feels like you're challenging me to prove that my theory is right or wrong, probably in your mind.
Well, I agree with half the theory, and then I disagree with certain premises.
But when you bring it to me in the forefront of the conversation, it doesn't feel like a friendly communication from you.
I guess what
So if it's not a friendly communication, then I would like you to own that you're not having a friendly feeling, that you're feeling like challenging me, or you're feeling negatively toward me because we have different philosophical
I've
underpinnings.
Yes, and I guess what I was thinking from a theoretical point of view is that if we could get at where our behavior is coming from, each and every one of us, our causation, we can explore that here, other than just the here and now anger that exists.
Paul, we've discussed this so many times.
Okay, so that sounds like you're angry.
Yes.
Could you say how
All right,
you
I
feel?
am so pissed off with you because I feel like it's deja vu all over again, and we're not progressing. We're digressing. You said you never watch or listen to the tapes.
But I have a memory.
But that's what I'm saying. But we want to progress and go into new territory.
But your
and
behavior's the same, Barbara.
You think you're going to cure me?
Listen to
baby?
her now.
You're going to fucking
it's
cure
her
me
turn to talk to you.
in 16 episodes or 30 episodes? I have had this illness since I came out of the womb. You're Jesus Christ? You're going to put your freaking hand on me and
call
cure
it an
me?
illness.
Are you healthy mentally? What the fuck are you doing here?
I don't.
All right? What are you doing here? Don't judge me, baby. Lest thee be judged.
Okay, now this.
Oh, you're
this
crazy.
Oh, and you're
You're
not.
talking.
And you're normal. You're normal, right?
Calling
You're so
somebody
normal.
crazy is an attack.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Please,
guess
you're
what?
an asshole.
John, you have some feelings
John.
about it. Could you say
talks too much. She's
how
a
you
John,
talking too much is
you're
a description.
conceited.
Barbara, let me run the group.
She's, I think she's nuts, and she's destroying the group here. It's like,
Why don't you leave?
Do you have? You're
leaving.
John.
Good, leave.
John, you're
not
destroying.
leaving.
John, You're destroying the group just as much by attacking her and not saying how you feel. The job
But
here
she's
is
annoying.
to say
I feel
how.
annoyed.
Okay, thank you.
Annoying too. I
Thank
find you
you.
annoying the first day you
That's
came.
so much better. Thank you.
And
And I'm not the only one.
And she
Can-
likes
can
to
I take
harangue.
Barbara's side?
She's a haranguer. She
I,
likes to
I feel that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now you're trying to get your own show.
Okay,
I don't want to
I
show.
want-
I've had a show.
I want
Yeah, all right.
everybody to, John, be quiet. Barbara, please be quiet. I'm telling you, I am in a jungle. You are all wild animals. Nobody pays any attention to me and what it is that we're supposed to be doing here. We are supposed to be listening to each other, being interested in each other, and helping each other to talk about our process. And all y'all are doing is being savages with each other. I can't run this group.
Savages.
I'm
I just
a
feel
puppy.
I got to
We
give
can
into
talk
this.
about puppies and
Okay, is that putting the feeling into words?
No.
I kind of like the mess.
Walter.
Well,
You're a masochist, man.
I want to take
Listen,
Barbara's side
Listen,
on this.
we
Can I-
have a couple of minutes left for this session. I think we need to talk about whether we should disband this group because I can't run the group the way it's running. It's just it's y'all are out of control. Nobody listens to me. Nobody's doing what I'm asking you to do. It's not useful.
I'd like to hear Molly, and I've been wanting to hear Molly for the last 20 minutes, but these two were getting it on, and he was getting it on with me.
Is it possible for us to have a therapeutic group instead of a killer group?
I can't tell you that. I can't speak for anyone else.
Yeah, you can speak for yourself.
What
Is
would
it possible for you to be therapeutic to another human being in this room?
If
right
they're not
now?
attacking me all the
No,
time.
even when they're attacking you, can you still be therapeutic?
What does that look like, Jane?
Yeah, thank you.
That makes sense what you said, Jane.
It looks like that question that you just asked. It looks like interest. So what do y'all think? Can we stop being primitive savages and actually be human beings to each other?
And how does that occur, actually, at this
All right,
point?
can I say something? All right, today I woke up in a really bad mood today. I was depressed all day today, and it started yesterday.
I really just want to know whether or not this group is a viable therapeutic entity.
No, it's not the way it is.
Yeah, I think it
Has
is.
it been like this since day one?
This isn't therapy.
I
isn't
think it is.
therapy.
I think out of this mess, it's almost impossible that some things will not crystallize. Things will come together out of the mess, so to speak, out of the jungle, so to speak. Appreciate the mess, feel the mess,
Okay,
and you'll
well,
find your own internal impulses to organize.
I do always say that out of shit comes manure, but I'm not saying. I mean, comes fertilizer. Sorry, out of manure comes fertilizer. I'm not saying the fertilizer
right
here.
there.
So we'll continue this
It
conversation.
takes
in the
longer
next
than
session.
48 episodes, though, to get cohesive, I
Can I-
think.
It takes an instant.
I'm going to
Not
put it
the
on your
groups I've
chair
ever
after you
been
stand
in.
up.
It doesn't have to. It can